Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Crypto at the Ferrum Roundtable. I'm Tom from the marketing team here at Ferrum Network. Please welcome Nick. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me. What's up, everybody?
This is so good, like this. I'm so excited for that. Like I'm always excited for anything, but I am so excited for this because everyone knows in the community that we've launched the alpha test program of Crucible. Right. And all the updates we share in pretty much on daily basis. We've had an update on the progress this morning on our Telegram and Discord as well. And for everyone, if you want to stay up to date, come and join our Telegram channel and our Discord as well. For a chance to be in the next batch of alpha testers. But Nick, what I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, right? But I feel like there's still a lot of people in the community that may not fully understand and grasp the idea and the concept behind Crucible. So if you could maybe shed some light and give your idea on the concept in a very kind of short and simple way for everyone to understand.
Yeah. I mean, first off, I just want to comment on the enthusiasm here because I share it as well. I don't think we really understood the magnitude of this product until we started alpha testing it. And I don't think we really understood what was going to happen. We had the theory, we had, what things look like on paper, but to actually see it in action and realize that this thing works was really cool, because I think we were all a little bit nervous to launch it even in alpha, just is it going to work the way we anticipated to? I mean, so yeah, I'm super excited, more excited than I thought I was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be this promising, even though I was super excited about it before. I'm like, I don't know, it's just, this is super fun, and the alpha test has been going really well. So anyways, without further ado, let's dive into what it is that we're actually talking about, right? So what is Crucible? I think we'll get into some more questions a little bit later about a little bit more in depth on what Crucible is, but at a high level, Crucible is a DeFi protocol that is built to create sustainable rewards economics. Right? We wanted to be able to provide sustainable rewards to our Ferrum community, as opposed to emissions, a lot of emissions, and an inflationary model, which is the problem in so many DeFi products today. So Crucible combines elements of reflection staking and elements of liquid staking to create a sustainable rewards economy, and provide some passive income, hopefully, for participants.
Cool. Okay.
While burning Ferrum at the same time, might I add. So
while burning Ferrum at the same time.
Not just sustainable, it's also deflationary.
Nice, very nice. Yeah. Okay, so we've developed this protocol, but what I would actually like to ask you is if we could just go back to the basics for a second, because this is a solution to a problem, to maybe a set of problems, right? What problems can you, we've actually discovered, and you can point out, you can highlight in DeFi that there are right now?
Yeah. So I think it's interesting. DeFi is this amazing phenomenon, right? And it's just begun its journey towards mass adoption. And while its value proposition is it's a noble cause, right? We're trying to decentralize these financial instruments. There's still certain elements that you've alluded to here that are inherent in many DeFi protocols that are hindering the adoption of the sector as a whole. And our core mission has always been to break down barriers to mass adoption. Sorry. So first step is to identify the problem, right? And I think there's three main problems here. One of them being the most pressing issue, but I'll start with the two other ones. One is user experience and user interface. There's a ton of products out there that really only a total DeFi degen is capable of using. You get someone who's getting their feet wet in crypto to hop into DeFi for the first time. and like it's going to be really, really difficult to use a lot of these products. So it's capturing a very small amount of people in crypto. So that's one major issue, right? Is creating something that has a really simple and easy to use interface, and is an experience that's fun, right? We want to create experiences that are enjoyable. We don't want to create an experience that gives people headaches. So that's most DeFi products right now, in my opinion, give me a headache when I'm trying to use them. The other major issue is security. We hear so much about these like exploits and attacks and hacks and whatnot in crypto, and specifically when it comes to DeFi. So how do you create a super secure protocol? Well, Ferrum's always, been on the cutting edge of security. Since 2018, we've been deploying smart contracts and haven't had a single one ever exploited, right? But hey, we've had, there's a few different smart contracts that are involved in Crucible. We've had multiple smart contracts here audited by multiple different auditing firms, Hacken and Zokyo. And our audits always come back with flying colors. So I have a lot of faith in the people who built this product inside our dev team, that they've built it with the utmost security in mind. But that's one of the major issues, right? Is that security. But the biggest issue is sustainability, and creating a token economy, or the economics behind a DeFi product being sustainable, which so many right now aren't. Like, you look at the two most common DeFi protocols in the space are farming and staking. Well, in the case of farming, a lot of times, you're farming on a DEX, and the DEX is giving you rewards tokens in their native asset. But all that's doing is just adding a ton of sell pressure, right? In the case of staking, if a project wants to reward its users in its own native asset for staking, well, you're kind of just delaying an inevitable dump, right? Like you stake for a period of time, you get your principal out, you get your rewards, all claim them at the same time, and it adds a lot of sell pressure to the project. It locks up tokens for a period of time, and it gives people the ability to build while those tokens are locked up. It gives projects the ability to build, but eventually everyone gets their principal out, everyone gets their rewards, and it adds a lot of sell pressure. So creating sustainable DeFi products is something that I think DeFi is really lacking right now, and something that we are trying to fix it. Ferrum is building the Crucible.
Cool. Thank you for that. So just to sum up, we've got UX, UI design of DeFi products. We've got security of DeFi products, and we've got sustainability of DeFi products. Those are three main problems that DeFi protocols are facing right now. Thank you for explaining that to us, Nick. Now, can you tell us a little bit about how is actually Crucible solving those problems? Because I think that's key.
Yeah. So it's important to understand kind of like the different aspects of what Crucible is, right? So I think understanding what reflection tokens are is super important. So we've got our native tokens, Ferrum and Ferrum X, but through the Crucible dashboard, users are actually able to mint a wrapped version of those tokens called CFerrum, CFRM, and CFRMX, right? So Crucible Ferrum, Crucible Ferrum X. Now these wrapped versions are considered reflection tokens. And reflection tokens are unique in the sense that they have transaction fees associated to them. So this means that like anytime someone buys, sells, transfers, adds liquidity, stakes, unstakes, removes liquidity, all of those different transactions have a fee associated to them. Now you can kind of consider that like a tax, so to speak. Now, like, I know your thing is like, oh, tax, like nobody likes taxes, but it's important to understand what ends up happening with these fees. So in the case of Crucible, Ferrum gives our holders the ability to either stake CFRM or CFRMX as a single asset staking pool, or add liquidity in the form of CFRM and BNB, or CFRMX and BNB as those pairs, right? So when you add liquidity, you're adding a pair, and you're so it's two tokens, right? So those that are staking the single assets are actually earning or sharing 20% of all those transaction fees that are generated proportional to their stake in the pool. Those that are adding liquidity with CFRM and BNB are actually sharing an 80% of the fees that are generated proportional to their stake. So stakers and liquidity providers can actually come in and out of this pool as they please, but every time they leave, they're actually charged a fee that will actually be distributed to those who remain in the pools as well. This incentivizes long-term holding, right? So I think the most fascinating part about where these rewards are being sourced is that, unlike the case with most unsustainable reward models, where rewards are taken from like the treasury or a marketing budget or any other uncirculated token supply, and adding these tokens into the circulating supply, thus inflating the circulating supply and adding sell pressure. On the other hand, and in this instance, all those rewards are actually being generated from the circulating supply, the existing circulating supply. They're being generated from volume. Nichelle at Ferrum said it really well. She said, we've turned, and I want to quote her right, she said, we've turned trading volume into a product. And I think that's so cool. Like it's essentially what we did. All these fees that are generated from trading volume are actually being distributed back to our holders. So that's where the sustainable rewards model comes in. And the coolest part, I know I've said this is the coolest part a couple times, but this is really the coolest part, is that these assets are actually appreciating assets. Because if you were to ask most people who have a basic understanding of economics if they would rather be rewarded in a token that's inflationary or one that's deflationary, most people would say they'd rather be rewarded in the deflationary one. So rewarding token holders in a sustainable fashion wasn't like quite enough for Ferrum. We actually wanted it to make it beyond sustainable. We wanted to ensure that the asset being used to reward stakers and liquidity provider and LP providers was actually deflationary, right? So 10% of all the transaction fees that are generated from the trading fees are actually burned. So 0.2% of all the trading volume is actually taken out of circulation, which in turn decreases the supply of not only CFRM and CFRMX, but their unwrapped counterparts, FRM and FRMX too, since it's a 1-to-1 mint ratio. So that's that. I know that was super long-winded, but it's a lot to unpack. I hope it made sense.
Cool. Okay, it did. And what can you tell us? Because I think you've already touched up on that a little bit, but what can you tell us on the Infinity feedback loop?
I haven't really touched on that yet. One of the ways that we're actually, and I love that you called it that, we have been kind of trying to arrive at a name for it. I heard like perpetual rewards loop going around, but you just said infinity loop, and I think we've just arrived at what we're going to call it, because that's in line with our branding. So nice one, Tom. So since the amount of rewards generated for Crucible participants is directly correlated to trading volume, the most important component to making Crucible successful is actually trading volume. If there isn't volume, then the product doesn't work. Fortunately, we've thought of a really cool way to ensure that volume remains consistent. And the key word here is arbitrage. So when adding liquidity, we actually set the price of CFRM and CFRMX 50% higher than their unwrapped counterparts, FRM and FRMX. So since users are actually able to mint FRM for CFRM in a 1-to-1 ratio, they're able to sell the more valuable Crucible version of the token directly into the unwrapped token, which actually gets them more than what they started with, right? So you're let's say, you know, you buy, you have one Ferrum and you mint a Crucible Ferrum. Well, that Crucible Ferrum is worth 1.5 times the price of Ferrum. So they sell that Crucible Ferrum back into Ferrum and they get 1.5 times the Ferrum that they originally had. So you just rinse, repeat. Obviously, arbitrage eventually balances itself out. But considering the deflationary nature of the token burns, it makes it much more difficult for the price of CFRM and CFRMX to reach this like price equilibrium with Ferrum and FerrumX, because there's constantly supply being burned. So the other aspect to that is we're having a bunch of initiatives that we're going to be doing, like trading competitions to ensure that the price of those tokens is actually increasing, of CFRM is increasing compared to FRM, so that people are actually able to play those arbitrage opportunities more often. But the other thing to consider is like, people are earning pretty massive APRs right now in a sustainable way in a deflationary asset, being used as the rewards token, by staking their CFRM and CFRMX and adding liquidity. So as long as people see those rewards too, they're going to be buying CFRM and CFRMX and staking it as well. So that's another thing that's going to help the arbitrage remain afloat and keep people playing that, what you call the infinity feedback loop. So yeah, we'll see how it progresses as we add more people to alpha and eventually go to beta and beyond. But right now, it's generating a ton of volume, and I think the rewards yesterday on the first day of alpha, it was something crazy like an 8,000% APY. So, I mean, obviously with more people, that's gonna change somewhat, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, no, this is like mind blown with, you know, the way that with the progress of this alpha testing of Crucible, where it's going, because this isn't something that I think we've also expected. You know, I know the total kind of transaction volume so far, it's I think like 3x to what we expected in the first couple of days of alpha testing. So this seems phenomenal. And I just, you know, I think a lot of people, to be completely honest, first when I heard about this, I was like, this just seems too good to be true, you know? And I think a lot of people are going to think like, what do you mean? They like literally, so you've got FRM, you mentioned CFRM, and basically in the end, you're just making, like, you just creating, generating money. Like you're just creating money in a loop. Like, and I'm like, wow.
I mean, that's what it looks like right now. I'm hoping that we scale this the same way that it, you know, that we came out the gates with it. But yeah, I don't know. Like, there's ways we can ensure that those who are getting into Crucible too are, you know, there's ways that we can kind of allow the beta waitlist to trade CFRM and CFRMX in order to work their way up the waitlist to gain access. So you're kind of creating this FOMO and driving volume too in that way. And then we can always cap like how many people get involved. So it's like, try to get involved now, because like we need to make sure that the trading volume is consistent with the amount of TVL. So those are the two variables that need to stay like somewhat consistent with each other. If the trading volume is equal to the amount of TVL which is total value locked in these staking contracts, then the APRs are going to be really high. So as long as the trading volume is somewhat in the same ballpark as the TVL, we're good. And we can monitor that really easily. So we can adjust accordingly and let people in accordingly. But yeah, it'll be, I hope we can just open it up, like, and just like everyone like rush in. I think we will. But
yeah, I certainly cannot wait to test it out and to, you know, for Crucible to actually go public, fully, officially getting released. I cannot wait.
craziest thing is like that I love to think about is like what happens when we launch Crucible on a different network, right? So right now we're only launching Crucible on BSC, but imagine launching Crucible on, say, like Polygon or Avalanche or something like that, and people being able to play arbitrage opportunities using our next product, Infinity Swap, which is the cross-chain aggregator, and actually being able to play arbitrage opportunities using Infinity Swap, which, by the way, every time is Ferrum's bridged across networks, some Ferrum is burned as well. So they're playing arbitrage opportunities across networks using Infinity Swap, burning Ferrum as they jump across networks, burning Ferrum as they transact in Crucible Ferrum and Ferrum X, right? And then always trying to look for the highest APRs. Like, let's say like you're on like BSC, and then like you saw the APR was like twice as high on Avalanche, and they're like, well, you know, I know I have to pay a 2% fee or whatever to transact, but it's definitely going to be worth it to get this higher APR. So people are then bridging over, burning Ferrum, jumping in that APR. So they're playing arbitrage not only on the price of CFRM to FRM on different networks, but they're also playing arbitrage on APRs. So that's like something that I can't wait till we are able to release. But yeah, it just adds a whole other like layer of like infinite possibilities.
Do you know what? This seems like this is probably the best thing that is happening that happened to crypto since Bitcoin. You know, like
yeah, I'm hoping we can be like, yeah, we broke money.
yeah.
We broke the financial system.
Oh. Can you imagine? I think people are going to be so excited to not just test out, but actually see go in live and officially getting released. I think we can actually end on this because this is basically like an introduction to what's going on, some updates as well on Crucible, and I feel basically this is probably a beginning introduction to the road to Crucible, which is basically going to be a little series that we want to introduce to our community, to everyone. And we're going to be explaining different aspects of Crucible moving forward. And would you like to say anything else?
Yeah, no, I mean, like we'll be providing updates like pretty much daily about the way the APRs are looking in the pools and how much volume we're doing. So everyone keep your eye on that. And like we'll be releasing, or we'll be allowing more and more people into Crucible to test along this kind of road to beta and beyond. And I'm really looking forward to seeing other team members get on the roundtable series here and talk about their interpretation of Crucible and like hear their take on it, because it's a lot to unpack. And I think the more people we get kind of talking about it on the team that really understand the product, the more our community will be able to understand it. But I hope I was able to provide some clarity. I know it's a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, it's still like even in a very simple words, it still can be quite difficult to fully understand the idea and concept. So I'm just going to be rewatching this video.
The best way to understand it is just to use the product, right? Like
yeah, like, literally.
And so that's why, you know, everyone should just like get in line and use it, because once you use it, you're like, oh wow, this makes a lot of sense. The user interface and experience is really, really well thought out. Kudos to our dev team. They've been kicking butt on this. And yeah, I think I think once people use it, they're gonna be like, wow, this is like way simpler than Nick made it out to be the explanation video.
No, I love it. And for everyone, guys, come and join Telegram and Discord. Everything really about Crucible happens on Discord, and that's where you can usually apply to be in the next batch of alpha testers and soon beta testers as well. I'm still in the queue. I haven't really touched it yet, unfortunately, and I'm really sad about that. But it's the community that's the most important, and it's you guys that need to test it out and need to see what it's all about first. So I fully understand that. But yeah, come and join the queue, get on it, start testing it, because this is going to be big.
Heck yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you for joining. Thank you for explaining Crucible, the concept, the issues and problems the DeFi space is actually facing right now. How we, solving those issues with products like Crucible. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.